Hey guys, it's Michelle. I am currently at my sister's dorm in Stanford.
If you don't know me and my whole deal, super quick, I basically went on a gap year and then started NYU, decided I didn't like it, dropped out after a semester. Now I'm kind of on a second gap year before I go to Minerva College in the fall. I made a video about everything I just talked about. Go check those out if you haven't seen them.
After leaving NYU, I was home for about a month in Massachusetts before leaving on my next big trip, which started in New York, visiting NYU for the first time since I dropped out. And now I'm in San Francisco for an admitted students event at Minerva, and I'm going to China in a few days. In this video, though, I'm going to be talking about what it was like going back to NYU as a dropout and giving y'all 6 things that I miss about the school. So first, about what it was like going back to NYU. It was a very weird feeling being there because I felt like a poser student. It was like I still went there because I stayed in my old dorm actually, and the girl who was supposed to come and replace me never showed up, so it was just like old times again with my old suite mates. Also, walking around the dorm building and campus in general, I ran into a lot of friends and people who recognized me, and even some of the NYU security guards recognized me. I kept my NYU ID, so especially for buildings where you don't have to swipe and you just have to show them your card, it really felt like I still went there. I spent almost all my time visiting New York, catching up with friends, and most of those times I ate with them at the dining halls, which they were so kind as to swipe me into, and I even sat in on a Gallatin class. At the same time though, I definitely felt already kicked out of the school because they took me off of the Wi-Fi, and my student ID obviously was deactivated, so I needed to get a guest pass to get into my old dorm. Going back to NYU, I saw that I was definitely still glad I left, but I also realized that the biggest reason in the end really was because I couldn't see myself finding my niche or finding a purpose at the school. That's something that a lot of my friends who still go to the school seem to have found for themselves, and in the end there's a lot of great aspects at NYU that make the school a great place to attend if you do have that niche and purpose. Having a bit of distance from NYU has definitely made me appreciate the very distinct school culture a lot more, so here are 6 things I missed about NYU. The first one is that the students are very much individuals. I know people say the lack of school spirit and sense of community at NYU is a downside, but I actually really like how every person is an individual and therefore is able to critically think about NYU and is open to hear criticisms without taking it like a personal attack. For example, after I made the video about why I dropped out of NYU and it got really popular, an NYU student magazine called Washington Square News reached out to me and asked for an interview. So about an hour or 2 after I arrived at NYU by bus, I met up and talked with them, and they were really interested in what I had to say and what my plans were. Also, I was talking to one of my friends and she was telling me how in her last class they literally spent half the time trashing the institution. And I'm not saying it's a good thing to always be talking bad about your school. What I'm saying is that it's cool that people are individuals and can have their diverse opinions about the school. The second thing is how people talk at NYU.
There's a very specific slang used at NYU that I think can be described as big city, liberal school Gen Z slang. But either way, I didn't realize that not everybody on college campuses talked like this until I went to some tiny business college in the middle of the woods 20 minutes from where my hometown is, and they were like, "What are you saying?"
For example, referring to objects as her, saying tea, sis, and for New York specifically, deadass, bet. And of course, expressing your feelings towards something with we. We stand that. We love that. Number 3 is extreme pop culture literacy. Nowhere can make me feel as incompetent about pop culture as NYU can. Literally, my friends are always talking about the latest movies, especially indie films and music, and Broadway shows that are being released and their impact on society, and they're so on top of their game and so clearly passionate about it, and that's something that's really cool to be surrounded by. Number 4 is how out of the box everybody thinks and how all the discussions are. I also spent like 2 or 3 hours talking with my friends about some weird niche Reddit group called incels. Incel is short for involuntary celibate. Basically, it's a group of men who can't get laid and formed this weird sense of identity and way of seeing the world and biology from it. It's so bizarre and disturbing. Go look it up, but these are literally the things that they talk about at NYU. Number 5 is how queer the school is. This is obvious, everybody knows NYU is gay as hell, but it's something that I definitely took for granted and appreciated a lot more when I returned. Unlike in a lot of spaces, people really don't automatically assume you're straight, and if anything, they assume you're queer. Very liberating. The 6th and final thing that I missed about NYU was New York City. Just the feeling of walking in the streets and having that energy all around you, and the diversity and hearing 5 different languages spoken on the same block, that's something you really can't get anywhere else. You also feel so anonymous walking around, but in a good way. You're free to do whatever you feel, to be whoever you want to be, because the standard of craziness in New York City is so high. You can sit in the park for 10 minutes, go on a short walk around the block, and you'll probably see something entertaining going down. So there you have it. That's how my experience was going back to NYU since dropping out. I hope you guys like this video. This is just the beginning of a long adventure that I will be documenting. Stay tuned next Wednesday to see how Minerva in San Francisco was. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, to like, comment down below what you think, and share with anybody who might be interested.
Okay, cool. Bye.